Oh no, we are about to have a big problem. Oh no, oh no, oh no! Greetings all and welcome to Dave's Craft Room. I'm Dave, and on today's video, I'm gonna make a Lend and Borrow quilt. This pattern that I have here comes from the Kansas City Star newspaper from June 22nd, 1932. I surely did go on eBay and I found the actual original pattern. This pattern first came to my attention when I saw a video on the Fat Quarter Shop. I'm gonna post a link to that video below where she makes this quilt and she does a fantastic job. I was obsessed with the quilt that she made and I put it on my list, and that was years ago, and today we're finally gonna make it. On her video, she does make it slightly different than this, and I'm gonna make it slightly different from her and this, because any quilt that you would want to make, there's always going to be multiple ways to do it, and so I'm going to try a different way. But what I did like about her video on Fat Quarter Shop is that she used HST paper, which I got. Oh, this is the HST paper. I've never used HST paper before, but I think it's a good idea. You're basically just foundation paper piecing half square triangles. And if you have a quilt where you need to make 5 million, I feel like this could be a good idea. So I'm gonna post a link below to where you can find this. Let's talk about this pattern. I actually did go on eBay and I was able to find an actual clipping of the newspaper from June 22nd, 1932. It came in a lot of 10, which I've put in here. And these are really cool, honestly. I'm kind of shocked, but you can actually go on eBay and you can buy these, and I found a lot with this in it. What's interesting about this pattern, actually every time I look at old quilt patterns, two things always strike me. Number one, there's never any piecing instructions, ever. They just assume, I think, that you know how to do it, and presumably people did know how to do it. And number two is that if there is something like an HST, they don't ever invite you to do it the way we do it today. When we make HSTs today, we cut a square of fabric and we draw a line across the back and then we sew on the either side of the line, right? That is the very common way to make HSTs. You make 2 at a time. I think it's a good idea to do it that way, but for whatever reason, I guess they didn't know about it in the olden days. I don't know. And I found it very curious. I called my mom earlier and I asked her, and she said, yeah, when she started sewing, they didn't make HSTs like that. They would literally cut out each individual triangle. And if you look on this pattern, it suggests that you should cut out each individual triangle. But of course, we do have a better way to do it. Making HSTs out of squares is going to be faster. Using this paper to foundation piece them onto here is, I think, a good idea. Now, granted, they wouldn't have had this, but I'm very curious. If you know, if you've been a quilter for the decades, put in the comments below, when did people start making HSTs using a square of fabric that you draw a diagonal line across? It's probably been invented many times, many different ways, and then eventually it just caught on. Let's take a look at this pattern, Lend and Borrow. The block, I mean, it looks as though their suggestion is that the block is really a 4-patch of them. And then it says here, the drawing above shows 4 6-inch blocks of this pretty all-over design. Okay, so I stand corrected there. That's basically 4 blocks of it, the edge of which forms an effective border. Other names for this are Rocky Glen and Indian Meadow. While rose and blue are suggested, green and yellow or pink and lavender would be equally pretty. The entire quilt is always made of the pieced blocks when this pattern is used. Allow for seams. Copyright the Kansas City Star, 1932. The entire quilt is always made of the pieced blocks when this pattern is used. What does that mean? The entire quilt is always made of the pieced blocks when this pattern is used. Well, what else would it be made out of? The entire quilt is always made of the pieced blocks when this pattern is used. As opposed to what? What else would it be made out of? Do you ever read a sentence and like question whether you know English? Tell me your interpretation of that sentence in the comments. It seems to me, this reads like some type of circular logic. Like, when you make a quilt out of these blocks, the quilt that you made will be made out of these blocks. That's what it's reading like to me, and that's why I'm so confused. The quilt is made of the pieced blocks when this pattern is used. We're gonna move on. I'm shooketh. The entire quilt is always made of the pieced blocks when this pattern is used. I'm gonna move on. I can't. So I have 2 different lines of fabric here, and I have fat quarter bundles of it. I already washed and dried it. This fabric right here is Marcia Derse Stenographer Batiks, and they're stunning. You'll get the chance to see it in its full glory soon. And then this line is called Deco Stitch Elements, right? Deco Stitch Elements, yes. I'll post a link to these in the description box. But my idea is that the big triangle of the outside will be made up of this. This reads more as a solid. It's actually not a solid, but these are gonna make up the smaller triangle. And I'm gonna see if I can figure out what way I wanna do it. Okay, so we're gonna have a square of the block with a triangle across it. So yeah, this is the difference of the way I wanna do it versus the way she did it on Fat Quarter Shop, because on Fat Quarter Shop, she made this an HST as well, and then pieced this. I do not wish to do it that way. I want to try it this way. If we cut this piece, oh, these are HSTs, by the way. This is the idea. This triangle and this blue triangle can be cut from one square and added on. And then this, which will be this fabric, I'll cut a square, cut the square into a diagonal, 2 triangles, and make 2 at a time. Same with this. And then I'm going to need 7 HSTs. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. HSTs is gonna give me 4 blocks. Does this fit here? Oh yes, that's fantastic. Hopefully I can get 4 blocks out of each pair of pair of fat quarters. What do I need to figure out next though? What I need to figure out next is how big the triangle is, and therefore how big the square is. Let me just get started. At this point, the only way to know for sure is to do it in real life. So what I'm gonna do is do some matchy-matchy. Honestly, these 2 look good together. Let's start there. They need to be right sides together. Take this and put it on top. Pin this because we don't want the paper to move. And then we sew it. There's lines. All you have to do is follow the lines, where to start. Good. Okay, so now we pretty much just cut it on our, the dotted line. Sorry, the solid line. Cut on the solid line. Oh my gosh, this is incredible how fast I'm making these HSTs. I literally just made 28. You know the thing about that Fat Quarter Shop quilt? They put out like patterns for their quilts. So if you want to make a Lend and Borrow quilt, you should probably go to their website and use their pattern. Unless you want to do it the way I do it, which is like, I don't really write a lot of stuff down. So I don't have a pattern. There wouldn't be a pattern for it. You know what, I want to make 1 block to start off to see. This goes right here, like that. I've made enough to make 4 of these blocks. And then the last step is whatever size big triangle I need for that. And let me figure that out now. You know what, I'm now getting the trepidation that people have with doing it any other way, and it's based on the fact that you do have to sew along this bias. That seems to scare a lot of quilters. There's nothing to be scared of. I was kind of like sewing for a long time before anybody told me that you're supposed to be scared of sewing on the bias. I was just sewing right along. It's really okay. The bias is not gonna hurt you. Oh no, we are about to have a huge, big problem. Oh no, oh no. Ooh, no! Oh no, we cut those triangles all the way off. What a flop. Everything was going so good until I cut these triangles off. How did that happen? I think I know. I do know. I know, I did it wrong. Let me just go back to the drawing board a little bit. But I do know what happened, and it's this triangle here, this one, was not big enough so that it extended out to here. So I'll make it bigger. Literally, that's all there is to it. I'll make it half an inch bigger, and we'll be just fine. Hey, you know what? Trial and error, it happens. And guess what? We are gonna put that error block right in our quilt. I'm gonna log cabin it so that it's big enough because it's too small right now. But I'm gonna put that sucker right in the quilt. Let's switch to a top down that I can actually show you what's going on. You know what? This is what happens when you move too fast. But who cares? You know what I mean? It's Saturday. Okay, so what we must do now is get the real size of the triangle. And last time I said it was 1 3/4 inches. Let's do 2 inches. We will need 4 of them. Okay, at this point I cannot make any more mistakes because I'm gonna run out of this print. Yes, that's what's going on. That's what I needed. Okay, look it. Okay. Now, when I put this over there, there's enough room for it not to cut that off. Okay, now I figured it out. Work. Except this isn't big enough now. I'm gonna have to piece some stuff back together because I don't have 7 inches anymore. Now that I cut it, now that I screwed it up, I have to do it this way. It's gonna be ugly, but it'll work for now. Just gonna log cabin these pieces that I already have. Good, so I kind of still made it wrong, but we're closer to the truth. So it goes this way. Let's keep going. I'm gonna get a system together. I want to finish this brown and get this brown out of the way, and then I'll come back when I actually know how to do it. Okay, guys, I figured some stuff out. Oh, first of all, I went to the supermarket to get trash bags, and they had cream soda made with cane sugar. This is my favorite. Anyway, yeah, so I figured this out. Oh, if you hear sort of a buzz, I have a space heater on under the table. Where I used to live was hot, only hot, ever. But in New Mexico, it's really cold. What am I trying to say? Oh, yes. Okay, so I figured out the actual what I want to do. And obviously, I did make a mistake in the beginning. When I counted these, this is 2 HSTs. So it's meant to be 2, 4, 6, 8, not 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 14. Oh, right, and we're making 4. Sorry, I'm constantly confusing myself. 7 HSTs per each block. 4 blocks. We can make 4 blocks at a time. We're gonna get 28 out of this. Sorry, we're gonna get 32. We're gonna have 4 additional ones. So that's what I'm gonna do. And then let me get a pair. This is the pair I got. I'm just gonna show you this, and then I'm gonna set up for chain piecing. This is gonna be easier for me to chain piece. I suppose when I give it more thought, when they say the entire quilt is always made of the pieced blocks when this pattern is used, they're saying it doesn't alternate with a solid like some quilts, which have alternating pieced and unpieced blocks. And the reason I didn't vibe with that sentence is probably because I don't like being told what to do. And it seems to me like that should be my decision to make, or whoever's making the quilt. And so I feel like to say the quilt top is always made of the pieced blocks when this pattern is used is false, because a quilter can choose to do it that way or not, as you will see if you stay tuned that I do choose to do it differently. But then it also says when this pattern is used. So does that mean if I choose to do it differently, I'm not using that pattern? I don't know. I don't really get why they would put that sentence in there. I'm just going to proceed with my quilt the way I want to make it. I use the mat sometimes. Sometimes I get annoyed with it and it's just too much annoying. I don't want to use this thing. I'm sorry, I just don't like it. If you're new to my channel, welcome to the craft room. I publish new quilt videos like this every other Tuesday at noon Mountain Time, and please subscribe to my channel. Okay, so I've finished piecing this first batch of chain pieced blocks. I've just barely started trimming them. And what I've kind of realized is that I want to select colors which have more of a contrast. I kind of selected colors that look good together. They just don't contrast enough. Like this block, for example, and this block, there's not enough contrast. These two blocks, on the other hand, or these two color schemes are good because there's enough contrast. So when I come back tomorrow to do more blocks, that's gonna be essentially the name of the game. But for tonight, I'm just gonna trim the ones that I have made, and I might pop them up on the design wall, but that's it. Cool. So I'll be back tomorrow. Okay guys, I wanna show you something I've figured out that is helping me get through this a little bit faster. First of all, I've already trimmed all these, and now I can take the paper off before I chop it all up, and that makes it faster because it's bigger piece of paper before I cut it up. And if you take the big pieces out first, then those little ones, like this, they just come right out. Oh my gosh, it was taking me so long to remove the papers earlier, and now this way is so much faster. So then, I mean, you are cutting off the lines, but it's okay, I can chop it up without those lines. Look at that. These pieces now just literally, because they're not connected to anything, they just come right out. And look at that. All of my HSTs are good. That was incredible. Look how fast I have now 1,000,000 HSTs. All right, so I have the blocks done. This is only a small portion. I have the rest here. I want to try out this layout first, where we make 4 patches of the course of the, where we make 4 patches of each one. And then I'm gonna try some other layouts and we'll see how it goes. I have no idea if I've made enough or too much. I don't think we're gonna get a rectangle right off the bat because I really didn't count. If we're lucky, it'll be a rectangle, probably not. Oh my gosh, we are gonna get a rectangle. That's crazy. It's small. It's too small, but I don't want to make any more. 52 inches by 66. Yeah, it's not big enough. I need to make another batch. It is a rectangle. I need to make another batch. Let's see what they look like all mixed up. I like this layout. I want to try another layout. Okay, so I pretty much got like halfway through this layout when I realized it wasn't gonna work. But I was trying to do like, what if we did the 4 patches with alternating colors, all of them? But the blocks are so busy that that pattern doesn't even read. So I would rather just go with the last one. And then I also realized that when I go ahead and make more blocks, I'm not gonna have a 4 patch worth because I'm gonna make 2 at a time. And that's fine as long as we're doing the random layout, which we are doing. This is a good like throw or a lap quilt. I just want something more substantial, and I feel like this lend and borrow thing, like if I'm gonna do it, I might as well go big. So I'm gonna make it at least 1 row bigger on the side and bottom. I don't feel like doing it right now, so I'm gonna do it another day. We're gonna put this in a drawer and work on something else for a while because I've made too many half square triangles this weekend. I just can't do it anymore. So that's all. I'll come back next time. Okay, you know what? We're gonna go against the thing which said that the whole block is pieced with these blocks. The whole quilt is pieced with these blocks when this pattern is used. I felt like breaking them up in this way and filling in this space with the actual prints is gonna look good. This is a busy block, and we can enjoy the patterns of the batiks more if we can see more of them. And I just don't want to make any more of these blocks. These blocks are not that easy to make. And also, a lot of them were flops because I cut the corners off by accident, and some of them are like slightly too small. Like the first group I made, like look at this. First of all, the colors are ugly, and second of all, like this is a complete flop of a block. You know what I mean? Like look at that. We can't have that in a quilt. But I have more blocks than that to use. And so we make it a bigger quilt. We use up more of the fabric. We don't have to piece any more of these blocks. And I got some patches at Hobby Lobby. Hold on, let me show you. Well, I'll show you from overhead because it'll be easier for you to see. But I got a bunch of these patches at Hobby Lobby and I'm going to sew those on. And I think this is a viable solution and this is how I wish to proceed because I just can't make any more of the blocks. I don't want to do it. So let's do it. I'm going to take them down right now. I need to weed out some of the blocks that are not the right size and that don't look good. So let me do that. Alright, so I have the patches here. These are the squares I cut out that I'm going to fill in. Let me just put patches on them. And this is the batik. I think I'm going to leave those alone. And I'm going to put the patches on here. Cool. It's huge. I actually had to use some of the reject blocks over there. Hopefully you won't notice. Maybe I shouldn't have just pointed it out to you. But some of those are the mistake blocks. But that's okay. It's all part of the journey. All right, there's nothing to it now but to sew it up. So let's do it. What's wrong here? These are not lining up. How did that happen? Did I sew them together wrong? I mean, I can switch it out, but then we're just gonna have a wrong one somewhere else. Or I can put it down here at the bottom. The solution is gonna be to put this one down here at the bottom. That'll work, but I had them in the layout that I liked. So it's not gonna be that layout anymore. And I hope that this layout works. I don't want colors to be next to each other in this quilt. We appear to be good on this front. And see, I don't want this tiger at the bottom. So then I need to switch this out to one at the top. I keep making errors. We should be good now. Just checking that these colors don't collide with anything in the next row. No more mistakes. I hope to finish piecing this today and then I can sandwich it tomorrow. I want to do some machine quilting in a grid and then I'm going to add some hand sewing in there and then I'm going to add a tie inside of here. All of that is really just to add interest. I like to add more interest. Guys, you know what? We did cut off some points of some triangles. There's 5 million triangles in this quilt. You're going to cut off some. And you know what? I just say, hey, maybe God didn't want that triangle to have points. Every triangle's not going to have points. We just have to accept it and move on with our lives. We did it! Oh my gosh, it looks stunning! I was nervous about this quilt for a while. Does the quilt lay flat? Flat enough, I think. There's a couple of wrinkles, but it'll buff out. I'm gonna sandwich it tomorrow and probably start quilting. What's the backing? I have a backing here. This will be the flannel backing. If I have enough of this. I don't know how much of this I have. I'll figure it out tomorrow. I really don't feel like doing anything else tonight. That's it. I'll come back when I'm quilting it. All right, I spun around the edge. Now it's gonna be time to give birth to the quilt. This is my favorite part because this is when I get to see what, or get an idea of what the quilt's actually gonna look like. If I can find the opening. I have the finesse thread here. This is finesse thread 8589 Glacier colored by the Grace Company. And this is what I'm gonna quilt it with. This is working great. I'm always nervous when I get into the quilting of stuff because you can like get to the end and then ruin a quilt with bad quilting. But this is turning out good. The finesse thread is working well. I'm gonna turn the camera off now and proceed. And I'm gonna do just the grid of in the ditch and then the diagonal. And then I'm gonna put ties in the these blocks. And I'm gonna do some hand quilting around the patches because I can't put a tie in the block with a patch. So I'm gonna do that and then that'll be it. We'll be done. Look at this, people. What a flop. I just got to the very end of quilting before I found this one block, which is the wrong way. Oh, well, I think I'm gonna still quilt it this way like this. I got to the very end before I clocked that. Oh, well, there's always one mistake. That's okay. Cool. It's done being quilted now on the machine anyway. I'm going to put ties in here. I'm thinking maybe pink or blue or red or... Oh! Oh, I just broke the thread completely. Oh, no, I did not. I broke the needle. What are these needles? Look at that. I have no idea where I got these, to be honest. I can't even tell you what brand they are. I'll use another one. Hopefully it doesn't break. That's crazy. I thought surely the thread broke, not the needle. Nope, it was the needle. Alright, that's a wrap on Lend and Borrow. I'm so happy with the way this turned out, and that's going to be all for today's video. Remember to subscribe to my channel and please come again. If you like this video, check out the time I made a triple Irish chain quilt and screen printed skeletons on it by clicking the link on the screen.